All right, we're back. So this is Calvin talking to you about public speaking. We're going to talk about actions and voice today. So I know this is a little bit different instead of doing this in person, but because of what's going on, we are doing this by video. So I'm going to tell you instructions, and I hope that you're going to practice as I say. That way we can do this. Now, for your previous presentations that you're going to do here, keep practicing them, okay? So you can revise them, try them out. The best thing to do is to practice, because when you do it, you'll notice what works and what doesn't work. I think a lot of students don't understand how important practice is. I keep talking about it in class, and I'll keep talking about it in video, because it's the number one thing to make what you learn work. Okay? So the first thing is we're going to look at actions. Now, actions, as I've said before, are three parts that you need to think about. One is your gestures. You see my hands moving around a lot. It's to keep attention, right? So we want gestures. As I said before, gestures are very important. They should be easy, they should be big, and they should be understandable. Okay? Easy, big, and understandable. Why easy? Because you have to do them. You can't be nervous or scared when you're doing them. So they have to be easy, so you don't forget. They're not complicated. Second, big, so people in the back see. If you're doing something and you're not going to have somebody see your actions, and then it loses its value and its meaning. People get frustrated. Okay? Third, understandable. If I do something and it's not understandable, how is it working, right? It's going to confuse people. So, when you do an action, make sure it's easy, big, and understandable. Now, I'm going to demonstrate here a little bit about these actions. I'm going to give you a handout, so look in your email for Action Stories with Children. This is the first one. Now, doesn't matter about the first part here. This has a lot of my information. So if mom and dad want to read it, or if you want to read it, it's okay. Now, I don't care about you filling in these parts. What I want you to look at is on the second page it starts. More action stories. So with this, more action stories that continue on. There's a lot of them, okay? So 1.5 pages. It has different actions, okay? And from these actions, you're going to think of what you can do, all right? So try to add, and I want you to pick one, all right? Pick one that you're going to do, and I want you to record a video and send it back to me, all right? So that's going to be your first homework, is you're going to pick one of these stories to add actions to. You're going to read it out and add actions. So the first one, let's say silence. It says, don't shout, don't stamp your feet, don't talk to your friends, don't clap your hands, don't play, be quiet. So how could you add actions to that? Well, for me, it immediately tells me to do the opposite. So, don't shout! I would do the hand shouting thing, right? Right? And then, don't stamp your feet. I would stamp my feet, right? And don't talk to your friends. Right? And that way, you're doing the opposite of what it's saying. That's kind of cool, right? Don't clap your hands, and don't play, and be quiet. So all of those actions are very simple, very easy, and very big and understandable. And when you do that with something, it helps people understand what you're doing. And even then, if it's not about understanding, because it's pretty simple, it's about making it interesting for somebody's eyes. Okay? So we also have mystery animal, yes we can, home, busy day, bad tummy, or getting ready, ice cream, the apple tree, the bee, the homework, broken window, the cowboy, the supermarket, the dream, and the present. So you can do any of those, or if you want to make your own with actions, that's great. So I want you to read it out and do actions, practice it, think about what you're going to do, try it, and then see how that goes, okay? From there, you are going to be able to practice these things. So when we come back to class, we're going to do it in class as well. But I want you to practice, send me a video, okay? That's your first homework. So actions, again, must be easy, big, and understandable, right? Because they keep our eyes interested. Now, I've talked a lot about that, and I think that's not too hard. For the next part, we have our voice. What's voice? Well, if actions are to keep our eyes interested, voice is to keep our ears interested. Because if we have a voice that's very boring and talks very slow and same speed or not too different, it becomes really boring. Our ears get tired. So actions are interesting for our eyes. Voice is interesting for our ears. And so I think, I'm going to get a chair here. I think if we have a better voice, we can have a better listening audience because they're going to want to listen, right? We're trying to make them interested and not bored. And I've noticed some of you are really shy and your voice, that's okay. So what you're going to do, I'm going to send something else to you. It's a story called The King and the Mouse. Now, we're not going to do all of it, okay? I'm going to send you the whole story. There are some other things in here that I couldn't delete. Don't worry about those. Your job is to just read the story with passion, with feeling. Because I know a lot of students, they're going to read, a long time ago there was a powerful king. No. Slow down at certain spots. Speed up at certain spots. Change your tone. Change your volume. Right? So remember, it's speed, volume, and tone for when we're talking. Alright? So, I'm going to read the story to give part of the story. I'm not reading all the story. To give you an idea, okay? You're going to either use this story, again, record a video and send it to me. It couldn't be an audio one because I don't need to see you for this one. But I want you to add feeling. I want you to be emotional. Be overly dramatic. Always practice to be more dramatic than you're really going to be, I think. Because when you really do it, you're going to naturally tense up a little bit and you're going to bring it down. Okay? So that way, when you do it, you're still having feeling instead of nothing, right? So, if you find a different story you want to do, any fable is really good usually. The Three Little Pigs, Red Riding Hood, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? Any of those are really good. But I'm going to read The King and the Mouse. A long time ago, there was a powerful king who lived on top of a mountain in a huge palace with thousands of rooms. The king was also a great general who'd fought many wars and won countless battles. So you see, I'm slowing down sometimes and speeding up. So when it's important, I slow down, really emphasize, really make that word strong, right? And I bring my volume up for that, and I quieter down for the not as important parts. My tone, you'll see a little bit later when I have some more surprise. Anything with an exclamation point should have a rising tone. Anything with a question should have a third, a falling and rising tone. Anything that sounds, it should be angry or upset, a falling tone. Okay? So that way we can really help our voices. Alright? After long years of fighting, he finally sent all his enemies far away to the four corners of the earth. Now, with that, normally, I would do actions like the four corners of the earth, right? I can do some hand gestures, but we're not doing that for this story. I just want the voice. Along with his brothers and 2 young sons, whom he believed were secretly plotting to take over his empire. He now had everything a man could want. A magnificent home, beautiful clothes made from priceless silks, cases of gold and silver and jewels, fine foods and wines from all over the world. And yet, the king was not happy. He spent his days in the palace, walking from room to room, talking to himself, trying on different clothes and jewels, and new foods from countries he'd never heard of. But nothing could please the king. Nothing could take away his sadness. On one day, the king sat alone in his bedchamber and began to cry. Suddenly, from under the king's bed, crept a young mouse who'd asked him, "My king, why are you crying?" So you see the third tone there? Why are you crying? Right? And it's okay if you make a mistake. Nobody's perfect. Even I make mistakes. I made a mistake here while I was reading. But if you can correct yourself, that's great. So we don't mind in a presentation if you make a mistake. That's human. Okay? So that's nothing to fear. Everybody makes mistakes. And a lot of people get scared about making presentations because they're worried about a mistake. That's okay. Everybody makes a mistake. All right? So when we're going to do this, I want you to really give your speed, your volume, your tone. Think about it. Listen to yourself after you do it. See if you have that. If not, try again. All right. So your homework this week is for the first part, action stories, right? I want you to do gestures for your stories. Remember them to be big, easy, and understandable. Right? For your voice work, you're going to read a story. It can be this one. It can be another one. All right? I want you to read most of the story. Don't do just 5 lines. It should be almost a whole page for you guys, okay? If you want, you can read the whole thing to me. I have time to listen, okay? So, after that, I want you to remember for your voice work, speed, volume, tone, all right? That way, you're going to think about how to make it sound better because we want our ears to be interested, right, with our voice work, and we want our actions to be interesting. That's for eyes. Again, we'll work on our content later to keep our mind interested, all right? So that's it for me. I hope you have a great week. Thank you very much.